sticky spring Sydney afternoon, getting towards summer. So we're here.
I love that, brother. Love the visual. Is the rest of the team of Guild of Guardians also based out of Sydney?
Yeah, it's a good question. So Derek and I live here. The game producer's kind of like in the mountains, and then a lot of our team is overseas, based in Europe and the US. So a lot of game dev in Europe, and then a bunch of other people are based in the States. Is that really noisy? Is that lawnmower really noisy?
It does. I can hear it a little bit, but it does a pretty good job of filtering out it, I think.
I might just head back downstairs. The guys followed me around the front instead of staying at the back. Derek is in the audience, so I'm just giving him instructions on how to join.
Perfect. Yeah, if he could just hit that request to speak button, we can get him up here.
Yeah. Let me just message him.
Appreciate it, Nick.
No worries. Gives people a chance to filter in, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. As we kind of get started here, just a shout out to everyone in the audience here for joining us for this Spaces event. It's definitely something MVHQ has been working towards doing a little bit more frequently as we move forward here, especially with some projects and sharp minds in the NFT industry. Obviously, Guild of Guardians being one of the most highly anticipated upcoming gaming launches. I think that the space is seeing. So big thanks to Nick and the team for taking the time to come up here. We are a tokenized community of about 1,500 tokens available. There's about 1,350 members currently. We provide a very exclusive and intimate community full of educators and builders and professionals kind of in the crypto and NFT space. So if you are interested in joining the community, feel free to give us a follow, check out the bio. All the links are there, and give us a shout anytime. We're happy to help.
Wicked. Yeah, okay. I just spoke to Des. He's just getting the Twitter app. He's a computer. He's got a computer, so he's getting the app, and I'll cover the bases until he's here as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds good. Once he gets up here, he can just request, and then we can kind of keep it moving. Mitch, I'm going to pass it off to you and kind of get the conversation rolling here, and let's roll.
Yeah, sounds good, Poop. And you said it best. You did miss out, though. We also are 1,300 absolute NFT degenerates, purely passionate about this space. And yeah, Guild of Guardians has been something that we have, as a community, collectively been eyeing up since Wave 2. For me personally, I was involved with Wave 1. I remember minting, I believe it was like end of May, beginning of June, on an iPhone, no less, right before all-you-can-eat sushi. My friends were asking me, what the heck are you doing? I said, buying video game characters so I can use them next year. That was the best way I could describe it. So, Nick, happy to finally be talking with you, brother. You want to give maybe the audience a little glimpse of Guild of Guardians, a little taste of what you guys are
for sure. And I can see Derek's just jumped in. Yeah, sure. Sorry. I can see Des has also just jumped in, but I'll give a quick rundown. So, Guild of Guardians it's a mobile RPG where sort of every asset that you own in game is a fully tradable, exchangeable NFT. It's been in development for a year. We've got 110,000 people in our Discord, nearly 100K on Twitter, and then 150,000 plus pre-registered to play the product when it's live. We've done 3 waves of founder NFT sales, which all sold out, and we've had around $9 million US done in secondary trading on Immutable X, all gas free, minting and trading. So it's exciting times. We're developing a really strong and exciting project, and we've got a community to boot. So it's cool to jump on and chat to. You guys said it best yourself. You can be degenerates in the NFT space. You can be people who believe long term in the vision, but everyone has a different thesis for why they think that this space is going to be a winner. And we're keen to pick different people's brains, facilitate different types of projects and things to tap into that. So it's good to be here.
Love it, brother. Happy to have you,
everyone.
man. What's going on, Derek?
Sorry, just I was setting things up, but just letting you guys know I'm here now.
I think it still says that he's connecting.
Can you hear me?
Derek, you've officially broke Twitter.
I can hear you, Derek.
I can hear you as well.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks. Well, good to be here. Hello, Night Crew. Hello, Golden community.
1 sec.
Hey, what's going on, Derek? Welcome.
What's going on?
Honestly didn't miss much. We had Nick giving us the rundown. I'd love to hear what y'all with regard to Guild of Guardians. Are you guys like? How do you fit within the team, and what does the team look like? You've been building this for a year. How's it been?
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that. So, Guild of Guardians is owned and published by Immutable. We're a VC-funded startup based out of...
Oh, okay. I think Derek's still having teething issues. Can you guys hear him, or is it on me?
We can hear him, and we can also hear you. Welcome back.
Very strange. I can't hear him. I'm going to disconnect and reconnect.
Okay.
You guys keep going.
All right, Derek, you got it, brother.
All right, cool. So we're a VC funded startup based out of Sydney. Recently raised a 60 mil Series B, and Guild of Guardians is one of the games that we focus on within the company. So right now we have, I think last I counted, we had around 40 people plus working full time on Guild of Guardians, including developers and artists and so on, who are working to build this game, and we're also massively growing that as well as we try to level up and 10x from where we are today.
I love that. 40 employees. That's 3 more than OpenSea. I'm kidding. I'm only kidding. No, that's amazing. So, and I didn't know that Immutable X was sort of the one behind the scenes. I was going to ask, of all the layer 2 solutions, because as we all know, Ethereum blockchain can be quite pricey, at least the mainnet right now, for any transaction. And Nick, I actually heard you speaking about this with the MetaKey community, whereas choosing a layer 2 solution and having transactions that were gasless is really important for your ecosystem. Well, what was the differentiator for you guys to go with Immutable X, and how do you see that L2 solution in particular being more viable, or I guess the ideal candidate for the mobile app that you guys are building?
Yeah, I think. Oh, you got this.
Yeah, sorry about that. So our goal is we want to onboard millions or even billions of people into NFT gaming. And so we're very much aiming to hit a mainstream gaming audience. And as part of that, what we needed is we need a technology where there's no such thing as a gas fee or where it's invisible, because otherwise it's just not going to appeal to that audience. At the same time, I think it's very important to work on the blockchain which has the most network effects. So if you look at all the different blockchains or side chains, etc., Ethereum is by far the one that is dominating. So that we have the most people building on it, all the biggest NFTs and NFT projects are on it, and it captures probably some like 99% of the volume, and people still use it even despite these high gas fees. So we're lucky in the sense that Immutable X retains the decentralization and security of Ethereum while still being a more scalable version of it.
No, that's great. I think that Immutable X, at least my experience thus far, being able to have transactions with that blockchain has been insanely smooth. I'm actually quite shocked at how smooth. I like that. In a previous chat, I heard that Nick referenced the sort of aspect of play and earn gaming as opposed to play to earn. I'm curious with your game, is it like what makes it play and earn as opposed to an Axie Infinity might be play to earn gaming, and that of the like that are coming out? How do you guys see yourself and really like the game of Guild of Guardians being play and earn? What does that mean?
Nick, do you want to take this one? Or do you want me to answer?
I can take it, and you can expand if I miss anything. I think we were really strong in the beginning with making sure that we owned the play and earn coining. Play to earn still has the connotations that you have to grind to get an outcome or a result or an asset. mindset out of it. It's not something that we want to push as part of our branding. So play and earn, we thought, did a better job of.
Are we getting a little choppiness here, or is that just me?
Yeah, Nick, I think you're cutting out a bit. Would you mind trying to disconnect and reconnect one more time for us?
It was a little bit in and out there, Nick. I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, I think it's cutting out a bit.
Sure, I think it might be a connection issue.
Okay, I'm sure he'll be back.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
If only Twitter was on IMX.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, our goal is we want to create, a world-class game that's just fun, and the kicker is if you play it, you have fun. You also happen to have, earn these tradable NFTs that you can sell for money, trade for money, show off, collect, and so on. So that's really what we want to get to with that branding. And we're sure that many games that are coming out now will have the same focus where they want to just create a fun game.
Yeah, that sounds great. I appreciate you guys touching on that a little bit. Just for some people that maybe might not be as familiar with Guild of Guardians, or maybe are just kind of getting into play and earn gaming as a kind of topic of discussion, would you guys want to touch on kind of the inspiration for your lore, inspiration for your story, any comparable games that you would maybe compare Guild of Guardians to as you kind of move forward here?
Yep.
Love that. Great question.
Yeah, so Guild of Guardians is set in a fantasy world that is kind of familiar, but at the same time new for people who are familiar with games. So it's very much inspired by the likes of World of Warcraft or D&D, where you have all these different creatures, all these different heroes that are in different factions. They all have different classes and abilities, and they work together. And so the Guardians are the heroes of the story, and they're what players play with and collect and level up and train and so on. And the way the game works is that players go into dungeons, and so you take a team of heroes with you, a squad of 4 heroes, into a dungeon, and you fight different monsters, bosses, kind of get around traps and get loot, and you use that to level up and work with your guild. There'll also be guild-based events and gameplay modes as well, where you're working with your guild members on a raid or other things in the future as well. And it's kind of this action RPG top-down in terms of the combat gameplay.
Amazing. That sounds great. Appreciate you touching on that here a little bit. From a project standpoint, obviously, game development, I'm sure, has so many layers attached to it. Can you give us maybe just a little insight on maybe some of the difficulties of that process, some of the joys of that process, and maybe just some insight on kind of what goes on behind the scenes in terms of a game development project? I think a lot of us maybe have a good grasp on what it takes to make a profile picture project or something like that, but I think the gaming side of things is maybe a little bit untapped in terms of a little deeper insight. So I don't know if you guys had anything to add there as well.
Yeah, for sure. So making a game is very difficult. There's you're bringing together many different disciplines together to try to create this single experience which people enjoy. So it requires, for example, working with the game developers who code or the infrastructure. It requires working with all the 2D and 3D artists. It requires working with people who specialize in audio, in VFX, in narrative, and at the same time overlaps with the designers and pulling that all together. So it is a very complex field, and I think making a game by itself is quite difficult. I'm always skeptical if people say they can do so in a short period of time. But for us, I think we have that as a basis, and we're also operating with everything else that comes with being in the Web 3.0 space, being in the NFT space. So we're overlaying the challenges of building a game with the challenges of building up a community, managing that, building up all the blockchain infrastructure and the blockchain technology and integrating all of that in a seamless way into the game. And so I think the challenge of building these NFT games is quite big, and that's why we have a big team and a lot of funding behind it, because it is a big challenge, but the opportunity is also huge as well. So if we're able to get this right and have the right formula here, then we're very confident to be able to push the industry forward in terms of how these games should be made.
I'm really curious, Derek, from your perspective, right? Like League of Legends, Fortnite, Modern Warfare, all of these games, are not built on a blockchain. They don't leverage NFTs and allow their assets to be tradable and owned by players. And, it lacks an in-game cryptocurrency. What was the decision behind that? Like, why take this route? Why make it so difficult? And want to be pioneers when you could have easily made a product for mobile that probably would have slapped and would have been popular without NFTs and without the blockchain. What was it about this technology?
I think, fundamentally the problem we're trying to solve is that players spend so much money on these games for what is effectively renting digital assets but not being able to own or trade them, in the likes of like the Fortnite or League of Legends and so on. And so this is what we really set out to achieve, and we want to we've built this from the ground up to appeal to a very similar audience with a quality game, but also making sure that all the NFT components are done in a thoughtful way and make the game better. And so that's kind of one of the main reasons why we have NFTs in the game in the first place. And we believe that the community aspects, the distribution mechanics, and the ability to align incentives with everyone else in the community who's might be creating content or who are even developing third-party applications, the ability to do all of that is one of the core advantages that we're going to have as well over those games, and we want to tap into that.
No, that's awesome. I guess I was just curious, because the play to earn and really, where y'all are going with play and earn to build a game that's so engaging and fun, and you just happen to, be rewarded with NFTs, and you just happen to be able to earn. That's just the happenstance with the game. Are there any current play to earn games powered by the blockchain that y'all have studied or sort of kept an eye on, and what have you learned from those projects and those games today?
So I think it depends on the individual. So like different individuals might find different games fun. I think our wording around play and earn isn't to say that there's no fun games, because I'm sure there might be games out there that people find quite enjoyable, right? Everyone's got their different preferences. It's more around how the industry thinks about the space, where currently the thought process is that the point of these games is to make money. So playing, it's almost like a job, but gamified. Whereas we believe there's more than that. We believe that actually that could be one way to engage with the game, but there should be many other ways as well, where the goal isn't to have it as a job.
Can I ask briefly, how many games does Immutable have under development currently?
We're currently only focused on Guild of Guardians, and the other game is Gods Unchained. The two games have operate pretty independently, so we have completely separate teams, both growing quite quickly, but nothing else at the moment.
Appreciate it. I was just curious for context, and if you have your team had an interaction with the Gods Unchained team, like how are they receiving NFTs? How do they feel about NFTs? Do you have any context at all? Like, how does your larger company feel about one project being NFT based and another project not? Has that come up at all?
Yeah. So Gods Unchained also has NFTs in it. The game is currently live.
Oh, Gods Unchained, you said. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I misheard that completely. That absolutely.
Oh, all good.
I'm following along now. Fair enough. Yeah, that makes much more
Gods
sense.
and Shane.
Yeah, that makes much more sense. But please carry on. We were.
Kenny's had a long night of poker. You have to.
No, actually, I'm in withdrawal, Mitch. So
even worse. And I've been with Kenny through both, so I would know. No, I think what you guys are building is really interesting. I think what's cool is that you guys are mobile first. It sounds like you're going after the gaming industry as a whole, not like people into NFTs, but like the gaming industry as a whole. I'm curious how the gaming industry is going to receive that. I mean, I feel like if someone told me, hey, instead of playing League of Legends, play this game, it's equally as much fun, if not more. And hey, you get to sell the Teemo skins you don't want, or whatever assets you earn. I'd migrate there right away. Have you guys thought about how you're gonna try to capture that that really massive consumer segment of gamers?
Yeah, I think that's one of our upcoming areas of focus. So kind of so far we've developed a pretty strong and large and positive community within the crypto space. I think everyone in our community is at his or her core or their core a gamer, which is great to see. But what we want to do is we want to then take the next jump to appeal to a more mainstream audience. And I think part of it will happen more when the game comes out, when we have something to show them and have them experience. And the other part will probably be kind of through the maybe more what you call the more traditional marketing channels as well, where you see people kind of through the different influencers, content creators, etc. But this is going to be one of our next areas of focus. We think that the opportunity next isn't going to be necessarily try to build as our Discord channel as much as possible with kind of crypto native people. It's really going to be, how do we learn about this new group? How do we learn about their concerns with NFTs, for example, which there are some, or their concerns with crypto or blockchain and energy and so on, and also get them educated in terms of what an NFT actually is and why that makes sense for games, because there is still a bit of a barrier there as well.
I think it's a huge barrier personally. And I look at projects like Top Shot for all the negative publicity that they get technology-wise. They did a great job sort of hiding the blockchain from the consumer and making it approachable to mainstream, sports fans and not just crypto fans. And I feel like if you guys can do something similar with gaming, it would be very, very powerful.
Absolutely, and that is our goal from the beginning. So a lot of our decisions that we're making or that we've made so far around, being mobile, how the game's going to work, the choice of blockchain and things like that, all of those is to lead to our end goal, which is to be gameplay by millions or more of players, where it's kind of got that mainstream appeal.
So with Guild of Guardians, will there be a what does the entry point look like for a gamer? Because right now, let's just take into account Zed Run, right? To start racing on Zed Run, you need to transfer Ethereum to Polygon through some website, and then you can purchase a horse, and then now you have that horse NFT, and you can play Zed Run, and what does it look like for a player that might just download the app and want to play Guild of Guardians? Do they have to go through a similar hurdle to go and buy a character? What does that look like?
So the game will be free to play. You can download it and start playing. And players will be given a character to play with at the beginning, and they'll be able to kind of work their way out from there. There's no need to spend money. So I would expect that at the beginning, maybe your first experience is you don't even see like the concept of anything you would own. It just looks and feels like a normal game. And then eventually you find out, hey, I could actually use these in-game materials that I've created, or that I've aggregated and collected, and turn those into something that's tradable. So part of the game will be bringing users along that journey, but making it accessible to more people who don't want to go through the hoops to get Ethereum and buy an NFT before they can even play a game.
Yeah, that's great. Appreciate that insight. One question I did have, obviously with Guild of Guardians, it seems like you guys have kind of focused on the mobile front to start here. I guess first question there is do you guys have plans to expand into kind of a PC desktop forum for the game? And secondary to that question, in regards to Gods Unchained, it looks like it was kind of the opposite approach, unless I'm mistaken there, where there is a PC element to it, and then maybe mobile was a little more secondary. Could you maybe give a little insight as to the thought process behind that, and what led you more towards the mobile route with Guild of Guardians, if it was just simply accessibility for the masses or something deeper than that?
So at its core, a mobile game is quite different to a PC game. So the type of people who play it, how they play it, their play sessions, or the play style that they want to have is quite different, just because mobile is more on the go, more accessible, whereas PC you typically see, for example, people have longer sessions, they prefer things to be more intensive, etc. And so the reason we are building mobile first is because we don't want to build this game for two different, like we don't want to build two different games. In fact, we want to build one really good game for mobile and make that really successful. There's been some internal conversations about taking this to PC, because from a technological perspective, that's possible. It's possible for us to create a client where you can play on PC. I think it's more about the choices of when we would want to do that, and whether we'd want to make any changes to the game to make it more enjoyable or different on a PC.
Yeah, thanks. That makes a lot of sense. Just being kind of a distant observer of the industry, that's always kind of just a curiosity I've had. How developers kind of how they decide going one way or the other, and what kind of decisions lead to that. So I appreciate that insight very much.
Thanks.
So I guess the next question is, when will we get to dabble on this in this game they call Guild of Guardians? Is there going to be a demo released soon?
So we don't have a date, unfortunately. I think our team internally has been playtesting it with updates and builds for quite a while now. I don't think it's in a state to be shared with the community yet, and so I would say there'll be no version of it this year that can be publicly tested. But I don't have an exact date on when we want to do that. I think we're keen to get people's opinion on it and feedback on it early, but no date, unfortunately.
Gotcha. You don't want to rush an incredible product. I get that. And I think too, with Wave 3 just finishing up, everyone, especially at Metaverse HQ, we've been really excited to watch your growth and your progress. Is there going to be a Wave 4 for those that might have overslept a little bit in the West Coast of America?
There won't be any more founder NFT sales. So that's it. If you want to get them, you have to get them from someone else. Well, there will be more NFTs introduced in the future, whether it's by sale or whether you have to play the game and earn them, or they get given away as part of promotions or for free, etc. So that'll happen. So there will still be more opportunities to get involved, but there won't be more founder NFTs for sale. We have an upcoming sale actually we're partnering with NRG Esports, so one of the big esport teams. So we'll be doing a collaboration with them where we're going to be doing their first ever NFT collectible, actually. That'll be playable in Guild of Guardians. So that's probably the next major thing for us.
That's huge. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, it's amazing. And and NRG they're really big in the esports. Do y'all have a vision for competitive gameplay in Guild of Guardians? Perhaps an esports community surrounding it?
We do. I think that there's two levels here. So the first is as a game, Guild of Guardians is almost a game where everyone can compete, even if you're not in a professional team, because you're part of this game, you're part of this like massive ecosystem, and you're competing for rewards. So we think that's a very interesting and accessible version of the esports that we want to create. And the second one, probably more longer term, we would explore kind of more traditional esports as well. We think there's a lot of overlap between esport organizations, their audiences, and NFTs. Like every influencer and content creator probably is aware of NFTs by now, and I think that's kind of one of the logical places we see us expanding that, and that's one of the reasons why we're excited about this partnership as well.
That's really exciting. I think as the esports space has evolved, it's really important for games to latch on and build that type of community, because it does attract just a different type of audience, a little more competitive audience, and in turn kind of creates, in my opinion, really really engaging content. So it's exciting to hear that, especially early on, that you guys have already made a commitment to that type of angle. Did you guys want to maybe get into kind of the mechanics of the game, the gameplay itself, the inspiration behind that? Maybe again, are there any comparables, whether blockchain related gaming or otherwise, in the marketplace that you would maybe compare some of the mechanics to loosely, just to kind of give the audience maybe a little visual of what to expect when they when they do download Guild of Guardians and then they're ready to play. Maybe a little taste of what that experience is like.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So it's a team-based RPG, or otherwise called a squad-based RPG. So it's reasonably common. It's actually I think a $5 billion industry just in the US alone in terms of this genre. So the idea is you have a team of heroes that you send into these dungeons. It's not open world, so they're all instanced dungeons. And so some comparable examples with maybe think about it like in terms of Diablo, but you actually have a team of heroes instead of one. And the way it works is that you're fighting these monsters and bosses and kind of getting loot, getting experience, and leveling up. So the goal is to kind of build out your team, progress throughout the game. There'll be different dungeons and story and so on, and then also work together with the rest of your guild. A lot of the game is about strategy. So a lot of the game part of it is about the moment-to-moment gameplay and how you use the team, but a lot of it is also about what kind of team composition you use, like what kind of elements you might have in your team or different factions, and all of those will play into the different strengths and weaknesses you have against different levels. It might even affect things like your drop rates or what drops you get access to, and therefore what kind of role you play in this economy. And so thinking about how you want to build out this team, how you want to equip them with weapons and how they might synergize is a big part of the game, as well as the skill as well as you run through these dungeons to control your characters. So that's kind of a sense of how it works. And one of the core theses behind the games is going to be is that games are better with friends. And so we have quite a strong social and guild focus. We want to make sure that people are interacting with others in their guild, or guilds are interacting with other guilds. We want to make sure that players or communities have to work together as well to progress. So part of the benefit of having NFTs is that there's this real economy. People are specializing in different roles. We've seen other games already where you have like a scholarship and manager type of role. We think there's going to be that, but a lot of others as well. And so there's going to be a lot of ways to engage, and it's going to add a lot of strategy and dynamic depths to the game, which we think the players will really enjoy, because that's typically what they enjoy in this type of game.
No, it sounds like, and I've never played this game before, but it sounds sort of like World of Warcraft, where I think the idea is teaming up and getting, I guess, different individuals to be part of your team that sort of fit different roles, like a healer, a tank. JJ, you probably know more about that. Have you ever played World of Warcraft or any game similar to that? I feel like that's like striking out to me. Also, like maybe Maple Story. I don't know. I'm curious. Is there what are some games that really stood out to you? Like, are you a gamer at heart, Derek? Do you game?
Yeah, I am. And so maybe like for example, this isn't exactly in the same style, but there's a game called Dragalia Lost, right? Where it's similar. You have a team of heroes. You have all of them have different roles. So you might have damage dealers, you might have healers, you might have tanks, and you're kind of running them through these dungeons. And that's one where it's also action RPG, bit of a like very different style in terms of the art style. But that's an example of one of these games. Another one that people might have heard of is like the very, very, very well popular and memed one, like Raid Shadow Legends, as an example. That's one where in that game you also have a team of heroes. It's about like how you fight through these levels and the team compositions and so on. That one's turn-based, so that's not exactly the same as ours, but it's a good example because it's also a lot of it's about like collecting these different characters is a big focus of the game and building out these different teams and leveling them. So it's very much centered around that. So those are some examples, although not quite the same as what we're doing.
No, I love that. I think that in order, and I've never built a game, but I feel like in order to know what you want to build, you'd have to first play and sink thousands and thousands of hours into, similar products that you're building. So, would you say that was like one that game in particular? I've never heard of it before. I've never played it. Do you think I should? Is it on PC or is it on mobile? Is it brand new?
They're all mobile games. So yeah, I mean, you should check them out. It's actually a very surprisingly popular, maybe particularly for people who just play PC games. It's actually a very, very popular genre within the mobile space. So there's lots of examples of similar games there. But I think one of the things even before we started was we spent a lot of time looking at the design of how it would work, because fundamentally we don't want to just have a game and then make some of the things in them NFTs, because that's not necessarily making the most out of the technology. That's just having a game and you may have some skins in there as NFTs. We don't think that that's where the value is. What we wanted to do is we wanted to add NFTs to a game in a way that actually made the game better, right? And so if you look at like this genre, like collecting these characters and showing off is a big part of the game. That's where people spend it. It's where there's like these famous, people on YouTube spending thousands of dollars on these gacha rolls to summon these heroes that they don't own. Maybe some of you have seen that, but that's a big part of the game. And with the power of NFTs, that helps with a lot of that, because you can actually show them off properly, and you can provably own them and show that they're scarce, or you can buy them directly and not go through the painful gacha process. That's one example of why NFTs is a good fit for this particular game, and I think that's quite important, because NFTs might not be the best fit for every game.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think one thing we like to talk about in the community, I know JJ preaches it a lot, but in regards to a lot of these games that are being previewed, kind of upcoming, but the most important factor is we want it to be fun, right? And I think that's kind of the biggest thing we latch onto as gamers or prospective gamers, that the game needs to inspire some sort of entertainment and fun while playing it, obviously, to keep you engaged and wanting more. One thing I'm personally most excited about, in terms of blockchain gaming, is the ability to actually own your assets that you earn in game. I think when you're grinding, Halo or Call of Duty or League of Legends battle passes, right? I mean, you're getting skins and stuff that are cool, but you never really actually own the items. And when new versions come out, so on and so forth, they kind of just disappear with the previous version. In terms of Guild of Guardians specifically, for you guys on the dev team, what are some things, whether it's gameplay oriented or otherwise, that you individually are really excited about to kind of show off and let people kind of play with and get their hands on, in a way that you feel you'd be most excited about?
Yeah, I'm really excited for how the depth of the economy that we're going to see. The way the game has been designed is that there's a lot of different ways to play that are a little different to a traditional game. So one simple example, hopefully we've leaked this already, is in the game that the heroes can be of different factions. So you can be kind of Horde, Empire, or Glade, and depending on what faction hero you're using in these dungeons, you get access to these different drop tables. And so what that means is people have to like work together to get the drops they need, and together as a guild then be able to craft items. That's one mechanic I think we're looking into, and it's things like this which gives players a lot of strategic depth and choice that I'm excited for, and what will build this economy. And it's not just on a player level; it's also on a more macro level as well. So whether we'll see people set up scholarships and manage guilds, and or people just playing in the marketplace and thinking about trying to predict how the meta is going to change, and making all these things. So very interested to see how all the different ways that people find to play.
Oh, I love that you mentioned scholarships. I think scholarships is a really interesting sort of mechanic involved with the current like blockchain gaming uh, like space, right? Like Axie Infinity is probably the most prominent example of a game that allows you to set up quote unquote a scholarship, allows you to loan your teams, your Axies, out to certain individuals that might have the time to spend playing the game and earning the cryptocurrency in game, while you are the sort of like the benefactor of these teams. I'm curious how a scholarship would work in Guild of Guardians, only because like you said, it's free to play. Like, is there a loaning system with regard to like the more like legendary heroes, or like the guild aspect? I think is curious. Like, what kind of scholarship mechanics do you guys have built in?
So I don't have any information on the specific mechanics that in terms of the tech that'll be available for people to use and set up these things. We imagine if there's appeal in doing them, then the community will create them. I guess same as how in Axie Infinity that's what's happened as well. So they've allowed it from a T's and C's perspective, but actually it's all community driven. I think the way we're looking at it right now is in terms of the design space, right? So thinking about this as a potential group of players that'll interact with the game, and having them play a role in the economy. So that's kind of what we're factoring in. Some of this you'll see when the game comes out. Some of it you'll see later on. As we continue to add more features, we've already got some exciting things planned for after the game comes out as well. But I think ultimately we want to allow and encourage these different forms of play, including scholarships where possible.
Awesome. If I could back up to two other things. One other thing you might not be able to share with us yet is I did want to touch on that mechanics. You'd mentioned that you kind of wanted players to play together and mentioned the factions. I think everyone has noticed there's icons on each of the heroes, and speculation has run rampant on who does what. Like I think everyone thinks Leah's the healer, for example, and Cyrus is like DPS, super brawler type. But what does that look like when you mention it? Being cooperation amongst players. Is that like we're playing in the same instance, or our guilds are, let's say, battling a raid, and then it scores it individually, similar to I think Clash Royale, where you had clan wars, and then each player would individually do their battle, and then it tallies it up in the end.
It's a bit of both. So some of the cooperation will be more asynchronous, so more in the metagame. So it might be you working with other players in your guild. It might be you as a guild versing a boss or versing other guilds. And then probably not on release, but in the future as well, we plan to add more synchronous types of gameplay as well, where you might be, for example, going into a dungeon together with other players to fight a boss or to clear a dungeon, for example. I don't expect that won't be out in our first release, but that is something we have kind of on the roadmap as well, and it's really a matter of when we do it.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I kind of like the mix of both. One being more action oriented and cooperating real time, and the other being like, kind of a race against time sort of thing. I could totally see an esports area where it's like, who's the first one to beat this boss, and the top 10 advance to the next round or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you for answering that. And then the other thing, I play a lot of mobile games, Genshin Impact probably the most popular out of them all, and I've spent a ton of money in the gacha, right? And I just wanted to know if you were introducing some sort of gacha element into the game, especially for those, free-to-play players. Uh, I'm I'm envisioning it more from the crafting system, but I could totally see them earning some sort of currency and, like, let's say, redeeming those free heroes. So, have you guys envisioned a sort of gacha system in the game, or is it mostly going to be more formulaic?
There will be some randomness in the game. So I suppose in a way our founder sale was a bit of a gacha in the sense that you didn't know what you were going to get.
Right.
And then so there may be similar things like that. Or for example, when it comes to, we have a mechanic in the game called merging, where you have a number of heroes and you can merge them for a hero of a higher rarity. And so most likely that'll be also random in terms of what hero of a high rarity you get as well. So we think there's still going to be some as well. And I guess the benefit is for people who don't want to do that, they can always just go direct on the marketplace as well.
But yeah, there's always that, that exciting element of, oh, what am I gonna pull? And the YouTube video of you pulling like in Genshin, like a 5-star as opposed to a 4-star.
Yeah, exactly. So those videos are super exciting. We've seen some of them for Guild of Guardians, and I've been showing some of the team members as well.
And I think where I'm gonna go next with this is, with holiday events and obviously big in the gaming world is skins. Are you guys planning on doing holiday skins and outfits and stuff like that? I already see, you have a distinction between warriors and elites, and they have different aesthetics and visuals. Probably different special effects as well, I imagine. Is that something you all are considering down the line?
Yeah, so the game will run as a live operation, so there'll be new content and events coming out. I guess you'd probably be familiar, similar to other games. So yeah, that events would be something we look into, including things like cosmetics.
Love it.
I don't have any specifics right now, so it's can't commit to anything. But
yeah, of course,
come up internally.
Yeah, I mean, the coolest thing is, you have your hero and you have the serial number, you can show off that way, but then the additional way of showing off what they're wearing as well, and that making it unique.
Yeah, we're exploring different ways to help players have more expression in the game as well, and so we believe that that's one of the unique points that we want to create within this game and within this kind of ecosystem.
Awesome. And I guess I wanted to touch on another topic. Sorry to talk so much about the mechanics. I'm a geek for mechanics and gameplay, but the pets, from what I've read and what I've kind of surmised so far, of course, all speculative, is that they're more passive. They're not really participating with you in the fights. Is that? Would you say that's a truer statement, or are there plans to kind of incorporate them in the battles as well?
Currently, they won't participate in the battles, so they'll be passive, and they'll give you kind of a passive benefit, whether that's better drop rates or resources and so on. So currently, no.
That's cool too. I mean, you know, in those kind of games like Genshin, I keep bringing up like I need my resin, so I'll be happy with more energy.
Yeah, I think it's another one which has come up internally, but currently don't have anything actionable to share on it.
Thank you for sharing as much as you can. I appreciate that.
We're coming up on nearly an hour here. At this point, if you'd like to come up and engage and ask a question or two, feel free to raise your hand. We have one person up here with their hand up, Peerless. I'm going to feel free to shoot us a question, my friend.
Oh,
hey, can you hear you, Peerless?
Hello,
awesome.
hello.
Awesome.
Yes,
Yeah, thanks for allowing me to speak here. Yeah, I mean, I've been like a gamer. I would consider myself more of a hardcore gamer. I've played everything: Diablo, World of Warcraft, Raid Shadow Legends, pretty much every single game that is similar to this game. I've been pretty a part of quite a bit. So one of my concerns was something that Nick had mentioned in his AMA with the meta key. It was something along the lines of the grindy aspect of some games like this, and kind of like having that free to play experience be on par with the pay to play experience. And I think one of my main concerns about that specifically is, in my opinion, spending maybe the last like decade or two playing these games, I feel like a lot of the community plays the games because they're grindy. Like that gameplay loop is just almost constant. Like if I've noticed a lot of times I stop playing a game, it's like, you reach that end game, you've achieved everything you could achieve in the game. There's nothing else to do, and it kind of just dies. You know what I'm saying? As well as with NFTs, I mean, if you make it too easy for people, then that scarcity kind of goes away and it drives down the value of your NFTs.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think there are many games where grinding is part of the experience, where you're grinding a long time, and the reward that you get of getting this like random loot and you've managed to get this really cool thing, that's a big part of the reward, and that's part of the game, right? I think when we're thinking about the grind in Guild of Guardians, we're here for a long time, and so we want to make this sustainable. We know that players on mobile typically don't have super long play sessions, so it's not like someone's going to be playing their mobile game for 8 hours a day. And we don't really want to incentivize people to be playing for 8 hours a day. It's not healthy to be on your mobile for 8 hours a day trying to play Guild of Guardians to min max and optimize things. So there's a bit of a balance there in terms of how much people are incentivized to play in order to do what they want to do to progress. Different games have different systems to do this. For example, we have like an energy system in the game, which you'd be familiar with as well on other games. So I think that's part of it. Another part in terms of the let's say non-spenders versus spenders. This comes back to my earlier point, which is there's many different ways to play. And so part of the design of the game is that there is a role for people who don't want to spend. Like there should be something that they do as part of this economy, and that they have a role to play as within a guild or within the broader game. So for example, another mechanic we're looking at in the game is that when you want to craft an item, you need to have what we've so far called cubelets, or these like crafting materials of all these different tiers. And so like even a really top tier guild will still need the lower tier like crafting materials, and most likely it's going to be one of the newer players who have joined the guild. They're probably who are going to getting those. And so that's one example where we want everyone to have a role in this game, not just people who have spent the most money or the most time playing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that kind of answers my question. And that's good to hear. I mean, I'm assuming most assets will be tradable, so I guess there's like a little bit of game theory as to whether or not it is worth doing that versus just doing end game content, selling it, then buying that low end crafting materials, right?
Right, and I think this is where part of the game is you have to work together to do stuff. And so there, for example, in crafting, in guild crafting, you actually can't craft as an individual. You have to do that as part of a guild. So there are certain mechanics which people have to work with others in order to do things.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess my just main concern as a whole was ensuring the scarcity of the assets. And that's really what my concern boiled down to.
So I think the scarcity of assets is a good one, and it's one of the main risks that any NFT game has. So you may know that in the game we have tokens, and part of the utility of the tokens is that they're required in order to mint an NFT. So you've played the game, and you've got everything you need to get this new NFT. Players will have to spend a small amount of tokens in order to get it. So that's like one of the ways we have to mitigate the influx, as well as balancing, like you said, the time it takes in order to get the necessary components to create an NFT.
Awesome. Yeah, well, that's all I got. Thank you very much for answering my question and allowing me to speak.
Yes. Thanks for coming up to speak. Great question, by the way. I think that was a question that's been looming on, on a lot of our minds, right? Especially with the increase of supply with the free to play, and also, another wave of potential sales, and the supply and demand of the ecosystem. I think it's, at least for me as a player and as an investor in Guild of Guardians, I'd like to at least have an understanding of how you guys will react to the supply and demand of the NFTs within the ecosystem, of the utility of the token, much like Axie Infinity does. Even though Axie Infinity might get some flack for their updates, I appreciate that they're being dynamic and understanding their market in real time. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. We've got another speaker with a question. Brian, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thanks for coming up.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. So one thing I'm curious about, I run a scholarship program for Axie Infinity, and like the way that they have that set up. You guys have mentioned that you believe that the approach you want to take is you want to allow the community to build a platform that supports maybe loaning of assets or a scholarship program or something. I guess this could be more of a technical question, but will you guys be like, will the technical resources be available for the community to build something like that in a secure way, where we can maintain control of the private keys for our assets while granting other people either temporary or I guess not like fully permanent, but more permanent access to those NFT assets? Or is that going to be like, I guess, how does that look technically speaking?
So at the beginning, I think technically, I don't have an exact answer on how it's going to work. We want to make it technically possible at the beginning. So the point of like, you can share an account, but they don't have access to the NFTs. That along those lines. I think in terms of the tooling, the technology, and like APIs, and like making all these direct interactions that people might want to set up these businesses, I imagine that'll evolve over time from our end, and we'll also see it evolve from the community's end as well. So hopefully that answers the question. We want to make it, I expect at the beginning it's going to be quite minimal from our end. just to set expectations.
Got it. Okay.
Brian, can I ask? I'm curious. How long have you had your Axie Infinity scholarship for, and what is the idea of size look like?
Yeah, so my brother runs it. I mainly have funded it and kind of operated it on a higher level, but we have like 57 scholars currently. I'm also a software engineer, so I've dabbled in a bit of like smart contract development. So I'm kind of also curious as to if and when people will be able to develop smart contracts on Immutable X, for example. But yeah, currently we're just at like 57.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. I don't have nearly as many as you do, but I'm equally as excited about the future of
I like how he just
more scholarships.
Casually says just 57, you know.
I love that.
Like he's not running a mini little Axie empire over there in the corner. But appreciate the question, man, and hope to engage with you again some more, man.
Yeah, I'm super pumped for this game, guys. I have a bunch of assets, and I'm super pumped to see what it looks like when it comes out. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Mindful, my friend. You have a question?
Oh, either I broke up or he did.
I think it was me, maybe.
Hey, yep. Thanks for having me up here. First and foremost, thanks to MVHQ team putting this all together, and thank you, Derek, for this awesome insight. So earlier, you had mentioned that obviously you wanted to bring this game to millions or to billions of people, and that's awesome. So my question would be, what point do you think?
Testing. Are we still live?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you. Mitch, I think it might be you, man.
Okay, cool. So
go ahead. Yeah.
At what point? What is the driving factor that you think would bring this game to the masses? Whether it be the tokenomics or economics, the gameplay mechanisms, the blockchain functionality, or prioritizing the free to play aspect.
So at first, I think we have a pretty sizable community already, which we think will give us a good start. That's one. I think the second one is we want to make sure there's good underlying game, good mechanics, good economy that'll keep people around, keep people engaged, and attract more people. I think fundamentally what'll make this thing really blow up, and by blow up I mean, get 100x bigger, massive growth numbers, is the ability to create these growth loops. And so the idea where people are, for example, a very simple example would be people are sharing the game with friends and they're earning rewards as part of that. And they're bringing on these new people who then get engaged. Some of them end up contributing to the game as creators or playing or spending, which allows the game to be more successful and bigger, which allows us to give even more incentives for people to share the game. And then kind of that loop goes on and on. So I think there's many different forms in which this kind of idea of a growth loop can exist. Sharing is just one example, but our ability to find that and tap into that is what's going to make the curves spike up, and it's one of the things that we aim to do.
That's very interesting. I hear you say growth loop, and then I hear you describe something to me that sounds like a social mechanism. Is there some type of potential between those two areas?
The fundamental idea is we want to use the power of aligning incentives. So we want to align the incentives of everyone who's engaged in the game, whether they're a player, a creator, developer, a scholarship manager, etc., so that they help the game become more successful. And so by being able to provide these incentives, and if they're able to make the game more successful, then overall everyone wins, and we're able to deliver more value back to these people. So that's kind of what I mean. I think the social network part is one example. You could also see it playing out within the game. You could see it playing out with developers or content creators or community members. I think there's ultimately everyone in who's involved in this we want to bring on this journey and kind of align incentives with them.
Awesome. Thank you for the insight, and good luck. You have a community here, so thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mine.
Hell yeah. Thanks for sharing, Mine.
Thanks, Mindful.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey.
Hey, Teo.
Hey.
Teo, welcome, man.
Hey, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been really nice hearing all this great information from Derek, and thank you to MVHQ, and thanks for letting me speak for just a minute. First, I wanted to start with saying that I've been pretty new to the community, maybe like 6 weeks, even pretty new to NFTs in general, and more than excited. I know we all are. But I really wanted to at first say mad props to Nick and Derek and the development team and community managers. They probably get hundreds and hundreds of DMs every single day, and they make a point to try to respond to everyone they possibly can. And even some people that are like even negative, you get those toxic people in communities that are almost impossible to deal with. They handle it with so much grace and professionalism. So I just really want to give some kudos to the integrity and the professionalism that I've been seeing from these young gentlemen. And I really, truly believe that we're all going to make it together, as Nick likes to say. I had a couple of questions. First question was, I know, are we still potentially on schedule for alpha coming out at the end of first quarter? And then before that happens, I'd imagine that the NRG, I believe it's a legendary hero drop, is coming for that sale. I believe that's a 24-hour sale. I wanted to ask, is that going to be before alpha begins? Is alpha going to be on schedule with that? Is it possible there might be another collaboration before that? And about that NRG drop, is it going to be kind of similar to the other waves? I know the other ones kind of had a limitation to the amount would be available. And I know there's some sort of scarcity element, but also integrating with NRG. Is there going to be any kind of limit to what's available for that? And then is it going to potentially kind of scale? Like, I believe Nick had mentioned that it would probably be more than the original legendary heroes to purchase. So I'm guesstimating maybe like $300 or something. But as they sell more and more and more of them, will it kind of scale in price where it gets a little more expensive as they produce them? And I had a couple other questions too, but I mean, I'll just start there, and I don't want to hog the microphone. So.
Yeah, thanks. So in terms of timing, the NRG collaboration, that NFT will come out before the game is released publicly. In terms of whether the game is on track, so yes, the game development-wise is on track, depending on how you define alpha. We're also defining that internally. It's hard to say whether or not it's going to be end of Q1. So we don't have a date for that. In terms of the scarcity of the NRG hero, so one of our goals that I alluded to earlier is that we want to begin tapping into this more mainstream gaming audience, and we think that the NRG collaboration is a great way for us to start doing that, experimenting and learning. So what we've considered doing it to also make the sale more accessible to them, as opposed to asking the audience to compete in a rushed sale, is to have a 24-hour sale. And so the expectation is that, given there's no fixed scarcity, the kind of supply and demand will balance itself out in terms of where that ends up, and people can make their own informed decisions about whether or not they want to buy, including people in this group. I think we're discussing still the mechanics internally around, one, pricing, and two, limits. So I don't have an update there, but that's something we're discussing.
Gotcha. Thank you so much for that. One other question I wanted to ask is more just kind of like a sentiment I want to kind of put out there, is one thing that's super, super important to me. And I know everyone has their own levels of competition with, do they have money? Do they have time? Do they have commitment? Do they have coordination skills?
do they have a huge community of people backing them up? One thing I just kind of wanted to put out there, for me personally, like, I'm an extremely passionate gamer. I can't wait for this game. It looks so much fun, and it's so early. But I'm really hoping that as a community, and I'm sure you'll listen to the community as time goes by, is really balance and fairness, and I think that's probably the most important thing to me, is that I feel that I'm in a community that is fair as much as possible, and that, like, some of my worries is that there might be somebody that goes and makes 1,000 accounts or something and try to feed one account with it, that sort of thing. So I'm kind of curious to see if that's even something people are even talking about or thinking about. But that is definitely something that is a concern of mine, is how to have a as fair playing field and least abusable playing field. Like, me personally, I don't know about you guys that are gamers, but every game I've ever played, I try to have integrity, but you break the game, so to speak. That's how you outsmart everybody. And I'm worried there might be people that try to push all kinds of limits and break all kinds of ways to think that maybe something the developers didn't think of, and give themselves maybe an unfair advantage over everybody else. And then by the time they fix it, the damage is done, sort of thing. So I'm hoping the team is kind of trying to. I know you got like 100,000 things you're juggling, but do you have any kind of insight on how y'all are approaching that?
Yeah, I think there's a few things. One is, this is going to happen. So the reality is that there are going to be people out there who try to exploit the game. You know, they try to set up bots, they try to do other things, or they try to abuse loopholes in the purchasing system, or try to do other things. I think that's something that we just have to factor in, and we do, in terms of what we do. There's a few ways we get about it. I mean, like, technologically is one, defending against those, and the other main one is probably around disincentivizing them. So Axie Infinity might be an example here, where, for example, they'll ban accounts which are found to be botting, and so the botters might spend thousands of dollars on these accounts only to have them banned, and they've actually lost money. And so, like, economically, they're not incentivized to bot because of this risk. So things like this are things we're looking at, and also just observing and understanding the market dynamics and what people are interested in. So if you look at how we've done our drops, I think we typically do them a little bit different to how everyone else is doing them. And one of the reasons for that is because in the NFT space, there is a big focus on like playing the drop in a certain way. And we want to make it fair to our community. We want to give them access. So things like, you know, creating an early adopter list, or things like doing an unannounced sale. These are things that we've actually done as examples to try to make the playing field more fair, and try to make it more accessible to our audience, and less so to people who are just maybe in it for the short term.
Yeah, I've got to add on top of that, and Teo, I think you bring up a good point. You know, no project in this NFT space is without its hiccups. I mean, we're all playing Squid Games out here at some point. You know, you get it right, and you get it right until you get it wrong. And I think that the strength in teams behind projects really shows when things go terribly, absolutely horrifying. And, you know, how projects and teams respond to these sort of challenges and mistakes is crucial. And you see it now with Wolf Game having paused their contract. You saw it with Mutant Cats. You've seen it, you know, challenges with Zed Run. And I think, you know, Guild of Guardians is no, you know, you guys aren't without your mistakes and challenges. But I think what you've done very well is communicating and being transparent about, you know, your intentions for a random Wave 2 sale at 1 a.m. on a Sunday night in New York City, or, you know, just dropping Wave 3 flash of a hat. I think y'all have done a really great job with sort of making the playing field a little bit more fair. And you've definitely been the reason Metaverse HQ has lost some, not some, but plenty of hours of sleep last week, just waiting for Wave 3. So really appreciate the answer. And I think that was a great question, Teo. Thanks for coming up and bringing it up to us.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for your answer. Real privilege to be here. And yeah, I'm still recovering from that lack of sleep for that 2-week period. So we're all here together, guys.
We love it though. We love it. We live for the shit, bro. We live for
Worth it. Worth every minute. Thanks again. I appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you, Teo. Thank you, man.
Yeah, that was not our intent to make everyone sleepless, but it seemed like there was a lot of pent up anticipation for that.
We weren't gonna miss it, no matter the cost, my friend.
Oh yeah,
Jake.
Appreciate it.
Jacob, welcome to the stage. Oh, I'm sorry, JJ. Go ahead.
No. Welcome, Jacob. Before you start speaking, I just wanted to share. Like, I was supposed to fly at 7 a.m. Eastern that day to Miami, and I think it dropped at like 6:50 or 6:30 or whatever. And I just pushed my flight back, and I just ended up canceling my trip. But it was so worth it.
JJ, you're such a G.
Bro, you canceled a trip to Miami for the Wave 3 drop?
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's my favorite JJ story now.
Legend.
Yeah, you're a G.
Goated.
That's amazing.
All right, Jacob.
What's going on, brother?
Hello.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. It's been such a great spaces. Love all the amazing questions, and so grateful for you guys for hosting this.
Hey Jacob, good to chat.
Yeah, good to talk to you in person, Derek. Really appreciate your time. And yeah, the JJ story was awesome to see live as well. And shout out to Grape, who's up here, for keeping us all awake and making us push on through. So that was super helpful. Love to hear him ask a question because I know he's super knowledgeable and I'm sure he's got something brewing. But yeah, my main question was I used to be super into watching Twitch. Since NFTs, it's been a little less so. But I was wondering if you had any plans to have a Guild of Guardians kind of live stream on Twitch from the official account, or if you're planning to partner with any streamers, because I know NRG has a lot of streamers and things like that.
So we definitely have a lot of plans to expand across different channels, Twitch being one of them. We don't have anything like in the short term that I can share. I think that there's two probably main things we'd look to do. One is building out our own content and channels. Two is probably, or maybe there's three. Two is helping other people grow their channels as the game comes out and they want to stream and they want to do all these things, like helping them. And the third thing is working with these content creators or these influencers to spread the word for GOG to their audience. And I think there's some really interesting product related ideas we can do as well there as well. So kind of if you think about Twitch drops but for NFTs kind of thing.
Yeah, the drops thing is really interesting. I didn't think about that, but I do remember a lot of similar things with like Rust and things where if you watch, you can get a special drop from that. So that would be super cool. And definitely would love for you guys to have your own content channels as well, and maybe broadcast kind of races for world first or getting the highest level, whatever kind of game mechanics you guys have it that way. I don't know if you can mention all of that, but I think that would be pretty cool too.
We've been investing a lot of time in growing the team behind the scenes, and so as that's going to continue, but as that comes online, we're going to expect to have a lot more people to focus on things like this as well. So very excited for all the things we can do there.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds great. Definitely answers my question. I guess last thing, super easy, would just be, what's your favorite hero and what are you most excited for when it actually launches?
I don't want to influence people's behaviors, so this isn't financial advice. So, but my favorite hero has nothing to do with the game. It's my favorite hero is actually Leah, and that's just because it was one of the first ones we made in the early days, where it's like working together with the art director to put that together. So that was the only one where I actually had some input into. Everything else was made by a much more talented creative director. But that's my favorite just because of how it was made.
I just checked the Leah price and it's 10 ETH now, so I hope but
not financial advice.
No, I really appreciate your time, and I'll let someone else ask some questions now. Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate you, Jacob.
Thanks for sharing, brother.
Thanks, Jacob.
Is this thing on?
Yeah, Nick is
no
back
way.
From the ether.
Hey, welcome back.
Bud.
I've run I had to hard restart my phone and update apps and different things.
You got rugged.
I don't know what was going on.
Derek got rugged.
I got rugged by Twitter. I literally got rugged by Twitter. Maybe I'm the first person ever to get rugged by Twitter. But I actually was listening in for most of the spaces, and Derek is a much more articulate speaker than me. So, but I'm here now. If there's 5 minutes, if anyone wants to say hello.
Welcome back, my friend.
Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
Sorry to steal your thunder.
No, not at all. Much better at conveying info than I am.
No, Derek's been carrying much like I do when I go mid lane League of Legends. We've got another question. Vadim, can you? JJ wouldn't know. He got in a little bit of a HR situation with Riot, but we've got another person coming to join. Vadim, can you hear us? Am I saying your name right? I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. You are free to chat and speak, and you have Nick here, who's now been unrugged by Twitter.
Nope. Hello, sir.
Hey, Vadim.
You there? You're muted if you're trying to talk.
I think he's minting. Guys, what is Vadim minting?
Might be minting. All right, you know what?
We can leave him up, bring up somebody else, and circle back to him and give him one more chance. I think that'll be fine.
Sure. You want to pop up Sebastian?
Hey, you guys hear me?
Oh, there we go. All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What's going on? Sorry
Sebastian,
about that.
I pulled you up, but you'll be next.
I just had a quick question. So, what is going to be the shortest amount of gameplay you could have?
Can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Sebastian, if you can just wait, we have one question in front of you that we're going to get to you.
No worries.
So, what's the shortest amount of gameplay you could have? So, for example, let's say you have a little lunch break and you got 5-6 minutes left. Would you be able to go and play a quick dungeon game before going back to work, or 5-6 minutes is not long enough? I mean, it's not short enough.
It should be long enough. I think we don't have an exact time frame for how long each dungeon could take. Obviously, it depends on how strong you are relative to the dungeon as well. But they're designed to be short sessions. We expect people to have a few minutes to be able to play if you want. So we want to make this very, very accessible. You don't have to sit down for 30 minutes every time you want to play, because that makes it quite difficult.
Okay, perfect. That's all I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Thanks, Vadim. I like your profile picture. And also Peerless, I noticed before as well, but I didn't comment on it.
Yeah. I bought one. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Sebastian.
Hi. One question about the Immutable protocol. How confident are you that it's going to hold to support the load that is coming? I think there's Guild of Guardian, but I think I read another game that is also pivoting to use Immutable. Maybe those two are not even the only two. So how confident are you that the protocol will support all that?
We're pretty confident. I think it's one of the main reasons that Immutable is working with Starkware, who are kind of world-class experts on scaling solutions to build this. I think the team is. I know that I'm not across the Immutable X team, but I know that they're working very hard to make the protocol a lot more accessible, even better than it is today as well, and easier to use. So fairly confident there. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Sebastian.
Thank you, Sebastian. All right,
I love it, by the way.
Sebastian
is, let's move. I just love it. Sebastian is totally doxed and no profile picture, no PFP.
I know, one of the few in here.
Respect.
Absolutely. Looks like we can move on through the questions here. We can go ahead and bring on up Mr. Nusantara Gaming Guild. Here we go. Welcome. What's going on? How's it going?
Hey, welcome.
Hello, hello.
Hey, can hear you.
Check.
Hi,
Yeah,
my name is William. Yeah, my name is William. I'm from Nusantara Gaming Guild from Indonesia.
Welcome.
Hey, welcome.
Hi. I have one burning question here. Now that the founder guilds are sold out, and you said that there will be no more founder sale, and the price in Immutable X is skyrocketing for founder guilds right now. And can you give me any insight and can we make a guild when the game launches besides having to buy the founder sale that's sold on Immutable X?
So there won't be any more founder guilds available for sale. And maybe if I can answer this more broadly, because it's come up a few times, I think the core question is how do we balance the scarcity of NFTs that are being available and sold now versus the introduction of new NFTs in the future, which new players in the future will want to create and also have access to. This is ultimately a challenge in general for any NFT game, and I think at the end of the day, what we want to do to approach this is to take a long-term view. So we want to balance this in a way that it leads to the long-term success of the game. Whether that's looking at guilds, whether that's looking at like heroes, whether that's our approach to like this NRG sale, etc. We're very much focused on what will make the game as a whole most successful. Because if we're able to do that, then everyone in the ecosystem wins, regardless of if you're an early adopter or a late adopter. We actually have quite a good and detailed plan around guilds, but nothing I can share right now. Just know that that is something that we have actively thought about how to address in terms of how do we have new players join guilds, or how do we make guilds more accessible while keeping the scarcity and value of the current guilds.
Boom.
Yeah, thank you very much for the answer.
Thank you for coming on up, and our regards to you said Rhodesia, where you coming in from?
Indonesia. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Indonesia. Welcome. We are officially international up here.
Yeah.
Great. Nice to meet you, man. Thank you for coming up.
I love it.
Thanks
I officially need to learn how to speak Bahasa.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Cheers, brother. Also, we've got someone on the stage that wants to ask a question. Grape Dutch here. He's been patiently waiting, and we're sorry if we haven't gotten to him in a while. Grape, did you have anything to ask and share with the class here?
No, not really. Everyone's covered it so far. Sorry.
That was very concise. Great. Very concise.
Oh, I love it. Okay, we got a real question.
That was demanded by the community.
He's just absorbing.
Yeah.
He's sitting on his pile of GOG heroes. We've got WT7791. Hello. Can you hear us?
Yeah. How you guys doing?
Good.
Hey,
Good.
WT.
Welcome.
Hey, how you doing? I'm new to the community. I just started here maybe about a week ago, and I was just wondering, is the energy account based? So as in, you play 4 heroes, you tank their energy, and you can't play anymore because that's the energy per your account? Or can you park those 4 heroes on the bench and grab 4 other of your heroes that are on your account?
So the energy is, and welcome to the community, by the way. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
The energy is account based, but there's also a system in the game called fatigue, where effectively if you use the same hero too much, it'll get fatigued and it'll cost more energy to go into a dungeon, which encourages kind of more diversity in how people play. And the energy booster, in case for those of you who might not be as into the details, that's actually what it helps with, which is it actually helps with that fatigue so that people can play with a hero more, level it more, etc. So hopefully that answers the question.
So you're not able to cycle through your whole roster. Probably you have to be choosy with which heroes you're using in combination with the energy booster, is what I think you're saying?
Yeah, so having 100 heroes isn't going to let you play like twice as much as someone who has 50 heroes.
Gotcha. Thanks for the clarification. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for welcoming to the community.
Good to have you.
Good to have you, brother. Thanks for coming up.
Appreciate you, man. Looks like next up we have Christian J 2.0 here. We'll go ahead and get him on up. Keep motoring through these questions. Appreciate everyone's time tuning in. Christian, you there? You are live on stage. If you have a question for us.
Hello, hello, welcome. Do not be shy. Step right up.
You are muted if you're talking, just in case. Hello, hello.
I love his bio. It says, I can hodl almost everything.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
Hi, guys. How are you?
You're good. Thank you.
Good,
welcome.
Thank you. I'm just concerned about the NRG NFT. If you're gonna open it for 24 hours minting process, I think the scarcity value of other NFTs, it could affect the price value of other NFTs.
Yeah, I think we've heard similar concerns from other people, so we are listening to those. Ultimately, we want to bring in new people to the community, which we think will benefit us long term. So this is kind of the introduction of new NFTs is something that we're going to want to do, whether that's via sale or whether that's via you have to do something to earn them in the game or outside of the game. I think the question is how do we distribute this fairly, and I think what we're going to expect to see is that the NFTs that are released after the Founder Series are probably going to be higher in supply versus the originals. But given that this is a sale where we don't set the amount, it's really up to people to decide how much they want to buy and kind of I think the benefit of having a 24-hour sale as opposed to a fixed supply is that we expect there to be less flippers, like people who are looking to just buy for a quick profit, because theoretically the supply and demand should equal out, and so there's actually it may not be seen as a good flipping opportunity here. So we're hoping that by doing this we have more genuine buyers and kind of long-term holders as well.
Okay, thank you.
We're thinking about different systems internally, but I don't have anything else to share at the moment.
Thanks, Nick.
Thanks for popping up, man. Great question.
Thanks, Christian.
Derek and Nick are seasoned vets at this point. I bet you get that question 100 times in the Discord.
Well, looks like we are approaching, we've gone over an hour and a half here. It kind of flew by, to be honest. That was amazing discussion. I don't know if anyone up here on the panel has anything to add or feels like they want to chime in before we kind of close it out. Negative? Sounds good.
Yeah,
that was
I was
perfect.
thinking, yeah, I thought it was a great chat. I was thinking maybe Grape Dutch might have some final thoughts for us. Want to close it out, Grape?
Mr. Grape, sir, the people want to hear from you.
You have been requested.
Man. For context, our Discord, Metaverse HQ Discord, is going crazy with requests for Grape Dutch to ask a question. And they're pinging us to prompt him along here.
Silence.
Yeah, you guys are the worst. I'm so high.
We love you, Grape.
That's about to be me, Grape.
No,
I
want to know about the NRG sale. I'm good.
That was about as perfect of a response as we could have asked for, to be honest. On that note, Derek,
I appreciate the
Nick,
time.
Yeah, Derek, Nick, can't thank you enough for taking the time here to spend some time with us, educate us, inform us, give us some alpha, really the whole 9 yards. I know you guys are super busy. So on behalf of MVHQ, for those in the audience, make sure you check out their website, guildofguardians.com, here on Twitter, at Guild of Guardian with no S, a little tricky there, no S on that one.
It's an Easter egg.
And check them out. Watch their trailer. I believe it's on YouTube as well. Really excited for all the things that are about to come to life here in the world of Guild of Guardians. So again, thank you guys very, very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks
it.
so much for having us. It's been fun.
Absolutely, and hopefully to many more. Hopefully we can kind of continue this series as things kind of develop. So we'll keep that on our radar and looking forward to it.
Absolutely, it was a great conversation, guys. Thanks for the time.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Take care, guys.
And if you're not high like Grape Dutch yet, I suggest you spark one, pour a glass, and enjoy the evening. Welcome to Night Crew.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.
MVHQ. Yep.
We'll see you in Metaverse HQ. Cheers.
See you guys.
See you.